I am Li Fan, a rogue cultivator hailing from the Tsongyang Sea. Reaching the late-stage Qi refinement realm already demanded tremendous effort on my part, and I understand that, as a rogue cultivator, I have virtually no chance of establishing my Dao foundation. That is why I wish to join the Myriad Immortals Alliance in order to obtain a foundation establishment technique. Li Fan paused briefly before continuing. I have long heard of your reputation for integrity and generosity, fellow Taoist, which is precisely why I have come to seek your guidance. He Jinghao was somewhat taken aback upon hearing that Li Fan wished to join the Myriad Immortals Alliance. He had never imagined such good fortune would simply fall into his hands. When Li Fan mentioned future repayment, He Jinghao was immediately delighted. There's no need for such formalities between fellow cultivators. Those who walk the immortal path know its hardships all too well. Naturally, I will assist wherever I can. Rest assured, your entry into the Myriad Immortals Alliance is guaranteed. I will handle it personally. Li Fan gave a faint smile. Your nickname Timely Rain truly lives up to its fame. I am deeply impressed. He Jinghao nearly corrected him, about to say he had no such nickname, but then he hesitated. The title actually sounded quite fitting. If it spread, it might even aid his cultivation of the mountain-sitting art, so he chose not to deny it. At present, Li Fan was waiting for He Jinghao to return from Myriad Immortals Island. According to He Jinghao, any cultivator at the late-stage Qi refinement realm or higher who attempted to enter Myriad Immortals Island without authorization would immediately trigger attacks from the Myriad Immortals array. Therefore, he had gone ahead to obtain a proper travel permit for Li Fan. He did not keep Li Fan waiting long. Soon after, He Jinghao returned. It's done. He handed Li Fan a jade spirit talisman engraved with the character for Myriad. Fellow Taoists, simply imprint a trace of your aura onto this passage talisman. Li Fan accepted the talisman and channeled his spiritual qi into it. A flash of light swept across the engraving before fading and flying off toward an unknown destination. Seeing this, He Jinghao nodded. That should be sufficient. Then he added, remember to return this talisman after you have officially joined the Myriad Immortals Alliance. Otherwise, you'll have to pay its equivalent value in contribution points. He Jinghao's face twitched slightly, as though recalling something unpleasant. A mere little talisman like this actually costs 100 contribution points, it's truly. The two of them then entered the Tianxian mirror. Inside its space, He Jinghao looked at Li Fan and declared, this is the late-stage Qi refinement rogue cultivator I reported earlier. He wishes to join our Myriad Immortals Alliance. A moment later, a voice resounded through the space. Recommending one late-stage Qi refinement cultivator, recorded as a grade D+ merit, converted to 300 contribution points, current total contribution points, 1340. He Jinghao froze for a brief moment upon hearing this. A strange gleam flickered in his eyes as he stared at Li Fan. After a while, he asked, if you don't mind my curiosity, fellow Taoist, how old are you? Li Fan thought for a moment before replying. 29. He Jinghao drew in a sharp breath, his face filled with astonishment. 29 years old, late-stage Qi refinement, and a rogue cultivator, fellow Taoist, I have never encountered such talent in all my years. Then joy surged through him. He immediately produced a mountain-shaped spirit talisman and passed it to Li Fan. You're new here, so you're bound to have many questions. Feel free to ask me anything, I'll answer whatever I can. And if you ever encounter trouble you truly cannot resolve on your own, come find me. My cultivation is only at the mid-stage foundation establishment realm, but I have some connections and a bit of influence within the Myriad Immortals Alliance. Li Fan listened attentively and nodded with gratitude. Only after He Jinghao offered a few more enthusiastic words of advice and left did Li Fan's expression return to its usual calm. Li Fan mused quietly, lightly tossing the communication talisman in his hand. The treatment this time is far better than in my previous life. In the cultivation world, most cultivators keep to themselves. Someone like He Jinghao is truly rare. Moreover, this level of cultivation talent is merely slightly above average. His enthusiasm seems a bit excessive. Li Fan pondered the matter but could not determine the reason. He vaguely suspected it might be related to the cultivation technique He Jinghao practiced. However, sensing no ill intent from the man, he decided to put the thought aside for now. Divine sense fluctuations recorded, independent space generated, cultivator Li Fan, welcome to the Myriad Immortals Alliance. As a joining benefit, you will receive 100 complimentary contribution points. Contribution points can be used to redeem spirit stones, techniques, artifacts, and more. The Tianxian mirror began its usual introduction to the relevant procedures. Although already familiar with everything, Li Fan listened carefully. Comparing the current situation to that of his previous life, he discovered that after reaching the late-stage Qi refinement realm, the cost to activate assisted cultivation mode had risen from 10 contribution points per day to 30. The higher the realm, the greater the resources required. That was only natural. It seemed that acquiring a large number of contribution points remained the top priority. Slowly accumulating points through missions was far too slow for Li Fan's liking. In truth, he already had a plan to earn a significant amount of contribution points in a short period. After spending 10 contribution points to purchase a slightly larger storage ring, Li Fan stepped through the teleportation array and arrived at a desolate area of land. There, he transferred the hoard of gold, silver, and jewels, along with the halt steel fragment, from the Taiyan boat into his new storage ring. He returned just as quickly and immediately converted the items into contribution points. Moments later, the Tianxian mirror provided its evaluation. Batch of gold and silver, convertible to 863 contribution points. Heaven and Earth curio, halt steel fragment, quality, flawed, convertible to 1968 contribution points. Li Fan sighed softly, then took out the Liuli pearl he had obtained from the giant Liuli fish. Exquisite Liuli pearl, convertible to 850 contribution points. After some consideration, he realized the exquisite Liuli pearl functioned like a weaker version of the Liuli pill. Although its effects were somewhat inferior, it had the advantage of being reusable. Since it would undoubtedly prove useful for his future cultivation, Li Fan decided against converting it, and instead stored it away. Looking at his total of 2,831 contribution points, Li Fan shook his head. It was still insufficient. After thinking for a moment, he began browsing the mission tasks posted by other cultivators within the Tianxian mirror. His gaze swept rapidly across the listings. When he came across one particular task, Li Fan suddenly paused. With a thought, he focused his divine sense to examine the task details. Elderchen of the Medicine Hall requires a supplementary ingredient for pill refining, blue blood coral. A bounty is hereby offered to all members of the Myriad Immortals Alliance. Those who provide relevant information will be rewarded with 1,000 contribution points upon verification. Those who can directly supply a stock of blue blood coral will be rewarded with 3,000 contribution points. Li Fan quickly scanned the other tasks, but this one offered the highest reward, thus he accepted it. Li Fan fabricated a story and submitted his report. Northwest sector of the Tsongyan Sea, approximately 200 li west of Miss Crow Island. I have seen this type of coral on the seafloor there. Unfortunately, a sea serpent guards it. I couldn't accurately gauge the serpent's strength at the time, but merely glimpsing it from a distance filled me with a sense of mortal danger. Trusting in the efficiency of Myriad Immortals Island, he knew verification of his information would come swiftly. Sure enough, within half a day, Li Fan received his reward. Yet curiously, the bounty for blue blood coral remained active. It had not been taken down. It seems Elderchen requires a substantial amount of this blue blood coral. I wonder what kind of pill he is refining. Suppressing his fleeting curiosity, Li Fan turned his attention to the most eye-catching bounty among the many posted. Mission, bounty for the Cloudwater model, reward, 100,000 contribution points. There were just two simple lines, with no further explanation, yet that figure, 100,000 contribution points, made every cultivator who saw it tremble with longing, unable to remain calm. Unfortunately, the bounty had been posted for over a decade. In all that time, not only had no one completed it, but no one had even managed to determine what the Cloudwater model actually was. The task issuer remained shrouded in mystery, never appearing or providing any clarification. It was as though they were saying, "Those who understand will naturally understand, for those who do not, explanation is pointless." At present, no one in the entire Tsongyan Sea knew the location of the Cloudwater model. except for Li Fan. Cloudwater Model, Cloudwater Palace. Li Fan silently repeated the names in his mind. This treasure worth 100,000 contribution points was located within the Cloudwater Palace. The Cloudwater Palace, or rather, its ruins, was the very place Xiao Heng had mentioned in his letter from a previous life, the place he had gone in search of a heaven and earth curio. The reason no one else knew this secret was simply that the Cloudwater Palace had not yet been revealed to the world. In his previous life, Li Fan had only become aware of the Cloudwater Palace because of Xiao Heng's message. He had committed this upcoming event, destined to shake the entire Tsongyan Sea, to memory. The Cloudwater Palace stood isolated far out at sea. It was said to have been the most powerful sect in the Tsongyan Sea during ancient times. When the Great Reformation descended upon the world, the disciples of Cloudwater Palace turned against one another. Fewer than 1 in 1,000 survived. The survivors chose to activate the sect protection array, sealing themselves off from the world from that day forward. Thus, Cloudwater Palace remained perpetually concealed by the Grand Array, hidden in the central region of the Tsongyan Sea. It was not until Anchor Year 11 that the array finally shattered, allowing Cloudwater Palace to reappear in the world after 10,000 years. Yet even choosing seclusion had not spared Cloudwater Palace from its ultimate fate. When cultivators from the Tsongyan Sea finally ventured inside, they discovered the sect had long since collapsed, reduced to a ruin teeming with oddities. The first group to enter the ruins of Cloudwater Palace consisted of over 100 cultivators, mostly in the Qi refinement and foundation establishment realms. They had believed it to be an ordinary relic site, but Cloudwater Palace was infested with oddities. Caught unprepared, the group suffered devastating losses. In the end, fewer than 1/10 emerged alive. Among the survivors was a man named Sikong Yi. This man was only at the late stage Qi refinement realm and appeared completely unremarkable. Everyone assumed he had survived purely by luck. No one could have foreseen that, after returning to Myriad Immortals Island, this very Sikong Yi would hand over the Cloudwater model and complete the bounty mission worth an astonishing 100,000 contribution points. After collecting his reward, Sikong Yi used a long-distance teleportation array to depart from the Tsongyan Sea, disappearing from sight. He was never seen again after that. Search for information related to oddities and sect ruins. Li Fan slowly made his request to the Tianxian Mirror, as he recalled knowledge from a previous life. The various experiences detailed in the survival guide to exploring sect ruins pertain to these latter two categories. The guide noted that all sects worth exploring in the current cultivation world could be divided into two major types, those with no oddities present, and those with oddities present. If no oddities were present, then as long as one remained cautious of array traps and mechanical traps, there was generally no particularly grave danger involved. But if oddities were present, extreme caution was absolutely necessary.